So then we're going to talk about the yin and the yang tonics, and as I said, they're to go for the yin or the yang of specific organs. So every organ is supposed to have a balance of yin and yang. So in your liver, say, you can have too much yang or too little yang, or too much yin or too little yin. Those are all problems, and sometimes too little yang can look like too much yin. That's something practitioners have to figure out. But that's how you balance it out, is using these different herbs. So I'm just mainly going to focus on the ones that we are able to grow around here, because a lot of these, especially the yang tonics of the kidney are very much associated with sexual energy. So these are the aphrodisiacs and the herbs that old men want to take to preserve their potency. You have to remember that for thousands of years, some of the most brilliant people in China have spent their life trying to make sure that the emperor could have an erection. You know, that was the number one thing that had to happen. So you got this whole entire imperial medical bureau devoted to figuring this out. So if that's an interest of yours, there's a lot of knowledge that's been accumulated. Very strange and interesting plants. We'll talk about the ones that we can actually grow. So Rokong Rong, Sistanchi, Suo Yang, these are two very complicated herbs. I think the Chinese have figured out how to grow them, but they're not available to us. Morinda would be tropical. Buguja is one we can grow. It has a very interesting aroma. I always really like the smell of this herb. It's a little legume, an annual. If you grow it like beans or something. Doesn't seem to have quite a long enough growing season for us here. But you could buy some buguja and just plant it. When I first started with Chinese herbs, I just went to a Chinese doctor and said, "Do you mind if I go through your farm?" And I bought everything that was a seed or a fruit and took it home to play with. And even the flowers, sometimes if you sift them, you can get some seeds out. So this is one that we could grow, and this is warmly tonifies the kidneys and spleen, stabilizes the essence, secures the urine, aids the kidneys in grasping the qi. So the essence is, the three treasures are qi, jing, and shen. Qi is usually translated as energy, jing is translated as essence, shen is translated as spirit. The jing is definitely associated with sexual vitality and sexual fluids, and like semen and so on is associated with the jing. So a jing tonic is for that. Yuji Ren, another tropical ginger relative. Xian Mao, we also can't grow. Duzhong we grow. This is an important kidney tonic. This is a tree called Hearty rubber tree. It's available to a limited extent in the nursery trade. Looks like snakeskin. It does have rubber in it. You can see the rubber there. Stretches. Right? But recently the Chinese have actually started using the leaves. You can see the leaves, the rubber in the leaves too. You can break it and pull and see little strands of rubber. And so this one is tonifies liver and kidneys, strengthens sinews and bones, quiets the fetus. And we grow this tree. We've got some for sale always. So fortunately we don't have to wait for it to get 50 years old and have nice thick bark. We can actually start using the leaves right now. Shuduan we grow. This is the #1 herb for broken bones in Chinese medicine. This is a teasel. Also being used now, if I'm not mistaken, for what do you call it, Lyme's disease. There's some formulas that involve yang tonics primarily. This goes into a lot of broken bones formulas, and all the martial arts people have their own secret formulas, both for first aid, you know, bruises and contusions and stuff, and also for giving them energy for working out. So we've got several books in our library, herbs for martial artists, and we make a number of formulas for that purpose as well. This is easy to grow, perennial herb. Gusuibu is a fern. We have one of the species that are used. This is, again, is very good for the bones. Difficult to come by that particular fern. Tusudza is dodder, which we have. It's a totally parasitic vine. Looks like yellow thread draped all over everything. You might have seen it. It derives its energy from the plants that it's connected to. It flowers, it makes a seed. The seed, it gives it enough energy to go 6 inches up. It waves around and grabs onto something. And thereafter it doesn't need soil anymore. It just gets its nourishment from the plants. Whether or not our native Cuscuta dodder would work, I'm not sure. I don't want to try and introduce the Chinese one, that's for sure. There's a different species of astragalus whose seed is a Yang tonic. We can grow that. Then there's Bei Shashen and Nan Shashen, northern and southern Shashen. These are yin tonics that mostly moisten the fluids of the lungs. We grow the Nan Shashen. The Bei Shashen is available in North America. It's strictly a seacoast plant. It grows on sandy beaches, my understanding. I've never been able to grow it here, but it should be hardy. Xiangshen is American ginseng, which of course we can grow. And then we have Maimendong and Tianmendong, which are a pair. These are both for the yin of the lungs, so moistening the lungs. So if you have a dry cough, like if you're a smoker, from a Chinese point of view, what's really bad about that is that it's drying out your lungs and causing all kinds of other problems. This one is Ophiopagon, lily turf. It's actually used a lot in the south as a grass substitute. It's in the lily family, but it looks like turf, like grass. And it makes these little tubers on the root. This is a kind of asparagus that makes tubers on the root also. Tianmendong is rather different from the eating asparagus. This one is a vine with hooks that climbs up into things. And then the root has bunches of these tubers. So we can grow both of those. Let's see, this is the other kind of Solomon seal. So there's 2 different Solomon seals in Chinese medicine. This is Yuju. This one looks pretty much like our Solomon seal. And probably our Solomon seal would be a substitute for this one. Enriches the lung and stomach yin without being cloying, restores fluids injured by external pathogens without preventing the expulsion of these pathogens, extinguishes wind, softens and moistens the sinews. Just for example. Baihe is a beautiful Turk's cap lily. These are the individual scales. If you dig up a lily bulb, it looks like a big pine cone or something, but it's actually composed of dozens or hundreds of separate scales. If you break it apart, each one of those will make a new plant. So that's what these are. And this is another one for moistening the lungs. Moistens the lungs, clears heat, stops cough, clears the heart, calms the spirit. A number of these are, as I said, can be added to food, and we'll be doing a video about that. Mohanliana is an interesting one. This is Eclipta. This is a weedy little annual. It might be the only annual in the whole tonic thing. But it's also big in Ayurvedic medicine, where it's called Bingaraj. And in both Chinese medicine and Ayurvedic has a reputation of darkening your hair. In fact, this is the #1 herb for the hair in Ayurvedic medicine. It's the same idea. It's a liver kidney deficiency is what's causing your hair to turn gray. So that's what it's for. Nourishes and tonifies the liver and kidney yin. Prevents premature graying of hair due to kidney and liver deficiency. Cools the blood, stops bleeding. Very easy to grow. Once you grow it once, you'll have it more or less indefinitely if you have the right growing conditions. Nugenza is the seeds of Chinese privet, shining privet, Ligustrum lucidum. It's used somewhat in the landscape trade. Well, it's starting to turn out to be just as invasive as the other privet, so you might want to think twice about it. And we'll get to the end here. This is black sesame seeds. We're trying to grow these. It'll have to be in the greenhouse. Chinese specifically want the black sesame seeds. And this is yet a different fern, guiban. No, wait. This is tortoise shell. So the The big animal for the yang, the chi, is the deer. Deer antler, which we don't have on the shelf. It's the #1 chi tonic, actually the most powerful. And for the yin, we got turtle shells, as you might expect. Yin, you know, being wet, water, all those associations. So there's 2 different kinds of turtle shells that are used, or the gelatin that's extracted from them. And that finishes up the yin tonics. Now there are plenty of herbs in other categories that have tonifying properties. Like herbs have multiple actions. You pick what you think is the most important action and you put it there. But it could easily be, like Schizandra, for instance, is definitely a tonic, but it's down here in the astringent category. So as to say, not all the tonics are right there, but most of them are. That's what we